The rain fell in sheets, a cold, relentless curtain that blurred the city into a smear of neon and shadow. Daniel Harper, soaked to the bone, trudged through the downpour, his worn-out shoes squelching with every step. At 42, he felt older than his years, his shoulders hunched under the weight of a life that hadn't turned out as planned. His graying hair clung to his forehead, and his threadbare coat did little to shield him from the chill. The bus stop loomed ahead, a faint beacon of shelter, but the crowd huddled beneath it told him the fight for a seat would be fierce. Daniel didn't care much anymore. He was tired of the grind, the loneliness, the endless string of days that bled into one another. But tonight, something flickered in him, a stubborn spark that refused to let the rain wash it away. He reached the stop just as the bus roared up, its doors hissing open like an invitation to a fleeting reprieve. The bus was a sardine tin of damp coats and weary faces, the air thick with the smell of wet wool and resignation. Daniel shuffled aboard, his eyes scanning for a seat he knew he wouldn't find. The driver barked for fares, and passengers jostled, their murmurs a low hum of exhaustion. Then, at the back, he saw it, one empty seat, a small miracle in the chaos. His legs ached, his body screaming for rest after a 12-hour shift at the warehouse. He moved toward it, each step a quiet victory. But as he neared, he noticed her, a teenage girl, no older than 16, standing near the seat, her face buried in her hands. Her sobs were soft, muffled by the din, but they cut through Daniel like a knife. Her backpack sagged on her shoulder, and her hoodie was as soaked as his coat. Something in her trembling shoulders stopped him cold. He stood there, one hand on the pole, the seat within reach, and felt the weight of a choice he hadn't expected to make. Daniel glanced at the seat, then back at the girl. The other passengers were oblivious, lost in their phones or their own miseries. He could take the seat. He deserved it, didn't he? Years of scraping by, of giving up dreams for bills, of waking up to a world that never seemed to give back, he'd earned a moment's comfort. But the girl's quiet crying tugged at something deep, a memory of his own daughter, Emily, who'd be about her age now if he hadn't lost touch after the divorce. He swallowed hard, the ache in his chest sharper than the one in his legs. "Hey," he said softly, his voice rough but kind. The girl flinched, lifting her tear-streaked face. Her eyes were red, her expression raw, like she'd been carrying a hurt too big for her small frame. "Take the seat," Daniel said, nodding toward it. She blinked, confused, as if kindness was a language she'd forgotten. "Go on," he urged, offering a small smile. Hesitantly, she sat, clutching her backpack like a lifeline. Daniel gripped the pole and turned away, the bus lurching forward as the moment passed. Her name was Mia, though Daniel wouldn't learn that until later. She was running away not from home, but from a fight that had shattered her world. Her best friend, Sarah, had betrayed her, spreading lies that turned her school into a gauntlet of whispers and sneers. That night, Mia had fled to the city, her savings stuffed in her pocket, chasing a vague plan to start over. The rain had caught her unprepared, and the bus was her last refuge before she figured out what came next. Daniel's gesture, small as it was, hit her like a lifeline. No one had noticed her crying. No one had cared. But this stranger, this tired man with weary eyes, had seen her. As the bus rumbled through the city, Mia stole glances at him, his face etched with lines of a life she couldn't imagine. She wanted to say thank you, but the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she pulled a crumpled notebook from her backpack and scribbled a note, "Thank you for the seat." "You didn't have to." A grateful stranger. At the next stop, Mia slipped the note into Daniel's coat pocket as she brushed past, her heart pounding. She stepped off the bus, the rain swallowing her as she disappeared into the night. Daniel didn't notice the note until he got home, peeling off his wet clothes in his cramped apartment. The paper was damp, the ink smudged, but the words hit him like a thunderclap. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the note, his throat tight. He'd given up so little, a seat, a moment, but to someone, it had mattered. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a flicker of purpose, a reminder that he could still make a difference, however small. He tucked the note into his wallet, next to a faded photo of Emily, and promised himself he'd hold on to it. Days turned to weeks, and the note became Daniel's talisman. He started small. Helping a coworker with a heavy load, buying coffee for the homeless man outside the warehouse. Each act felt like a rebellion against the grayness of his life. He didn't know it, but Mia was changing too. The note had been her first step, a spark that grew into courage. She returned home, faced the mess at school, and started writing stories, poems, anything to make sense of her pain. Her words caught the eye of a teacher, who encouraged her to submit to a local writing contest. Mia's essay, about a stranger's kindness on a rainy night, won first place. The prize was small, but the recognition lit a fire in her. She began volunteering, helping other teens navigate the loneliness she'd felt. Her life, once adrift, found a current. Their paths crossed again by chance, 6 months later, at a community center where Daniel had started volunteering. He'd been inspired by the note, seeking ways to give back, even if it was just serving soup on weekends. Mia was there, reading her essay at a fundraiser. When Daniel heard her describe the man on the bus, his heart stopped. He waited until she finished, then approached, the note, now worn and creased, clutched in his hand. "Was this you?" he asked, holding it up. Mia's eyes widened, tears brimming as she nodded. They talked for hours, piecing together the ripple effect of that night. Daniel confessed how her note had pulled him from a dark place, given him a reason to keep going. Mia admitted his kindness had been the first time she'd felt seen in months, the anchor that kept her from running forever. The emotional climax came when Mia invited Daniel to her high school spring showcase, where she'd be reading a new piece dedicated to him. Daniel sat in the audience, his eyes misty, as Mia's voice filled the room. Her words wove their story, the rain, the seat, the note, into a tapestry of hope, a testament to how one small act could change everything. The crowd applauded, but for Daniel, the moment was private, a quiet realization that his life, broken as it was, had meaning. He thought of Emily, vowing to reach out, to mend what he'd let slip away. Mia, too, felt a shift, her future no longer a vague dream but a path she could walk with courage. Their story didn't end there. Daniel and Mia stayed in touch, their bond a quiet reminder of the power of human connection. Daniel reconnected with Emily, slowly rebuilding what years had eroded. Mia went on to college, her writing a beacon for others. The note remained in Daniel's wallet, a symbol of the night they'd both been lost, yet found each other. The rain had soaked them, but it had also washed away the weight of their pasts, leaving room for something new. And in a world that often felt cold and crowded, their story whispered a truth: kindness, however small, could spark a chain of miracles, lighting up lives in ways no one could predict.